Hi, thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to do a nice, fun project. We're going to turn this ordinary wooden picture frame into a work of art. What you'll need, of course, is a picture frame. You'll need some paints, and you have several paints included. The black paint is chalkboard paint, but you can use small amounts of that in your project if you want to paint something with black on it. But for the most part, we're going to use this for the chalkboard surface. You also need a couple of paper towels. Cover your surface with the plastic bag that's included. You're going to need the butterfly stencil and an ink pen. You should also have a popsicle stick in this little plastic bag. So we'll set all that to the side. And we will begin by putting chalkboard paint on our surface, okay? So pick one of your paintbrushes, the largest one that you have. And we're going to paint just an area. And the area that you paint will depend upon you. And you need a nice coat on there. If you need to come back and do a second coat, you can. You can make this super neat or you don't have to. I've decided that I didn't want to make it neat, which means I'm not going to put a nice shapely square or something like that on it. I'm going to do this weird shape on it. And we're going to let that dry between coats. I want it to look sort of spontaneous. That's what I'm doing. And you can make this as large or as small as you like. There. I'm just cleaning off my brush now. And once that is done like that, now I'll apply my second coat. So while this is drying, doesn't take too long, but while it is drying, you want to clean your brush off. So wipe the brush off, squeeze the paint out of the bristles. Don't pull them, yank them. You're just squeezing the paint out, and then wet that brush in your water and rinse it off, and then dry it again. You want to get that paint out there. You don't want the paint to dry up on the brush. Now comes the fun part. We'll need our stencil. I'm going to place flowers and butterflies on here. That's what we're going to do. So you decide which butterfly you want. It's up to you. Since I have that heart there, and see I have this open space there, I'm going to use this butterfly going into that direction. I'm just trying to make sure, waiting for that to dry. Okay, that's somewhat dry. Still a little wet or damp on spots in there. You can see it, so I'm trying to wait for that to dry. And while that's drying, I know I'm going to put a butterfly here. Now I can put a large open butterfly there, but I want to balance that by putting a butterfly in this bottom section too. So I think I'm going to put the butterfly going that way, but down here, I'm going to put an open butterfly. And you decide which design that you like and place another butterfly down here. And you really just need the outline because you're going to paint this. And that is, the outline is just a guide. And it's a stencil, but we're going to paint all that in. Mine isn't showing up so well with that in the camera. So I have an open butterfly here, and I want this little makeshift butterfly here. It's not going to show up well because that black paint is there. And I don't need all of it on there. I just need some of the major parts on there. Because for these other pieces, it's not going to show up on there. And now I'll start painting. Going to paint in that butterfly there. So I didn't mention it, but you have a styrofoam plate in your kit. That's what you're going to use as your palette. And I'm going to lay my paints out on the palette. All right, we have our primary colors plus white. When we use the white with one of the other colors, it will just make it lighter. So if you want pink, you use the white with the red. And if you want a light blue color, you use the white with the blue. And if you want a lavender, you'll mix the red with the blue. And I think I'm going to use a little of that. These colors can be up to you. I just scoop some paint off that main pile that I have. I scoop from the edge of the paint and put it in there. That's going to give me a purple, which I'm going to use all nicely to paint in there. And what I'm going to do, because I did that kind of backwards, what you can do is draw this on before you paint that blackboard chalk paint on there, and it will make it look a whole lot better. So I'm just looking at this little thing that I did. So when I come in here, I'm going to need some lighter colors. And now all you're going to do is just fill in your butterfly with whatever color you like. And now I'm going to mix some white in this because I'm going to lighten this baby up so it'll pop right here where this black is. We're going to give it a body. And then I'm just going to add. Now there's no right, or wrong way to do this. So as you can see, I made quite a bit of boo-boos when I did this on here, but it's not going to matter. So I have the dark purple on here, and I'm just adding some lavender onto it. And it keeps it from being just a flat looking color. So they're so pretty. You can make these whatever color you want. So that was a lavender one. Now, I must tell you, I've seen butterflies in so many different colors, bright, brilliant colors. I've seen them in black and whites and grays, dull colors. It's so amazing because they camouflage themselves to look like their environment. I want to do one with orange. So I'm going to take red and yellow. And it's going to give me an orange color. When you mix these, sometimes you can see more of one color than the other, and that's okay. Now, I don't need that any longer. So I have one butterfly up there. And I'm going to put another one down here. Turn this around. If you need to turn it, don't be afraid to turn this. And this is, I'm sort of filling this butterfly with these colors. And the butterflies are symmetrical. Whatever you see on one side, you see on the other side. That's just how they're made up. And I'm going to put this here in the middle. There is no right or wrong way to paint these butterflies. I want to do that. And I'm going to wipe off the excess paint. I wipe off the excess paint and then I rinse my brush so I don't have a whole lot of paint in my water. But unfortunately, I used the black first, so my water is black. And now I'm going to come back over that, well, not over it, but I'm going to use the complementary color of orange, which is blue. A little heavy-handed there, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come around and shape the outside of the wings in blue. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. It makes it so much easier to paint one side and then go paint the other side identical to it. So now this is wood, and wood reacts differently to paints, certain paints. So you may have to add more than one layer to get the effect that you want, which is fine. I'm gonna make mine kind of symmetrical. And I kind of outlined it, but I want to go up in here and give it more of a body. Because remember, it's a stencil, so the stencil really just gives you an outline. But you can go in and fill it in however you like. Add to it or redesign it. There. It's up to you. Just turn it around so it makes it easier for you to make whatever marks that you're trying to make. You don't want to feel awkward trying to paint. There. Now, the only thing I'm not too happy with is I can see the chalkboard paint underneath that butterfly. So what I'm going to do is mix up a little bit more of this purple. And I'm going to come in here and sort of fill it in. As an artist, you can change certain things about your paintings. If you don't like certain aspects of a painting, you can come and change them. Because oops, I'm taking paint off that one, trying to paint this one. As the artist, it's going to be what you say it is. All right, and now we need to do the fun part. I got it all over my hand. Now we're going to add flowers so that this doesn't look so rough. So right now it's just the butterflies, the heart is there, and we have the chalkboard. Paint there, and it's still not quite dry. It's almost dry, but not quite. That's okay. We'll just keep painting around it. So now I'm going to add flowers here and there. And with the flowers, I am not going to be very particular about what it is or the shapes that I'm making. So I want to have some greenery first. And in the greenery, I'm going to use some yellow and blue. That's going to give me some green. Now I want to put some greenery here and there. And I want to give a few pieces of greenery to the heart itself. Sometimes a nervous hand works really, really well. I don't want everything to be colored. I don't want my entire picture frame to have color on it, or paint on it, should I say. If you need more paint, feel free to scoop more paint out and place it on your surface. You will need enough paint to paint around, plus flowers. And it's okay. Now notice when I mix up my paints, whenever you mix up paints, you really can mix up the same color, exact color. So I tend to put the color that I mix up everywhere. Then I'll go back, mix up some more paint, and put that here and there. And you notice I'm going into my black. That's quite all right. Not only do we need the black to dry, we're going to need, I'm going to put a little green up behind there just for cohesiveness. You must lay down enough greenery to give the flowers something to lay on. So that's a nice, that's going to be your picture, whatever it is you want. Now, if you want to completely cover, go around and encase the heart in flowers and greenery, you can. It's up to you. Make sure you put enough greenery around and up to the butterfly so it doesn't look like it's just an add-on kind of object. That's enough of that greenery, I must say. And that is there. I'm trying to decide what color flowers that I want. Since I have orange in there, I'm not going to put orange flowers on there. So I'll probably put, debating on the red and the pink. I'm going to be honest. If you want to, you can have just a modge podge of different colors, but I would try to have maybe one flower a little larger than the other one, and doing so, I would make that the color that I want most, and that would be like a favorite color. If you like roses, I like the reds, but I think I prefer a pink. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get that and just come right into this section here. Show you what I'm going to do. That's my pink. Now I'm going to come over here on this side of it. I'm not showing you too well, am I? So I mix up some red and white there, and I have my pink. And now on this side of it, not the entire pile, I'm mixing up a little bit more red because I want that dark red to play there. And this is my larger brush, and I'm going to just take and lay it down here, smush it around. Some areas are not dry, so pay attention to that. If you put this pink red on that green, it'll turn it brown, okay? And so I'm going to put some dots here and there for the pink flowers here and there. Touching the green, touching the blue, touching just the empty spaces. Because I want some that are small, look like maybe they haven't opened up yet. Just here and there. You will overlap flowers, overlap greenery, it won't matter. But when I go to my next color, I want to have enough of these on there, so I don't have to worry about trying to mix up more pinks. See, I just have them everywhere. And that's the darkest part, that one that was the dark red, or dark pink, excuse me. And then I'm just going to come back with the rest of this, some more of this, and tap right here on or next to some of the other ones. So what it'll do is it'll keep, it'll give it a two-tone or 3D kind of look. So it's not flat. We don't like our stuff looking flat. So we have this nice rich pink, and then we have a nice light color pink also. It's a gorgeous garden. It's really coming together quite nicely. In areas where the green is dry, just tap right on top of it. That will work out really nice. Only got 2 large flowers. What happened to my garden? So I'm just going to smush that around and get me another big flower. I'm not putting any shape to these. Some flowers are clustered and some are shapely, but here in this garden, the butterflies love coming here because there's a variety of flowers. And my pink flowers, if you haven't figured that out, are my favorite colored flowers in the garden. I'm just making sure I have enough big ones here and there. And now I'm going to add a little bit more white to that because I need that lighter. And I'm going to touch it onto my flowers. The large ones first. It just adds dimension to the flower itself. I don't want them all one color and one tone. That changed the way they look. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm just smushing it in, smushing it on. I usually have a lot of yellow flowers. So for me to opt to this, I think the larger flowers are really paying off. So I'm just going to smush it around and make some of these a little larger. And if I need to come back into the red and come over here and make another dark area, I will, to tap into that because I don't want them to look flat and all one color. This is a first for me. I like that. If you use orange, do the same thing. You want a dark color, so make your orange dark and then add a little white to it and then a little more white. And so it looks like 3 different shades. All it looks like is the flower opening up. Perfect. I don't want all of them large and I don't want all of them small. And I have a couple here that are in between. Perfect. I think I really like that. I'm going to wash this off. Dry that brush off. I'm going to do some frilly trails, I guess you can call them. Something to kind of join these on together. And what I'm going to need is a little more white. I'm going to put, what do you call it? I'm going to need a bit more white. I want that a lighter color than everything else was. I'm going to use that main flower color that I had, which was pink. And I'm going to use my little brush and mix it up some more. And I'm going to get a little of that water and make it watery. And we do little trails and loop-de-loops, they call it that. And it has to be much lighter than everything else. So we need a lot of white. And it has to be kind of watery. And so we're going to do sort of S loopies and stuff like that. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, we'll do little S's, curly Q's and loops and like that. It'll make it look like vines or something along there. So I'm doing pink, but you know I need green. So I need yellow and blue. And it's okay that it's a little on the yellow side. The yellow side, it can be yellowish, a yellow-green color, which will be fine. We just need loopy loops. And we're going to get this out of the way because you need to have your hand needs to be free to move. Just be mindful to watch out for the paints. And we'll just trail it out of the green, maybe to a flower, off the flower, onto the middle of nowhere. See that? Now it's not all going to be extremely loopy and pretty. I don't want to cover up the black part because that's my writing surface, but I do want to come over here. And they don't have to be long because that brush, I noticed the brush is not holding a lot of paint. And that's okay. But we just need it kind of watery. So it'll kind of loop here and there. And it's hard to see them far off. But as you are looping them and making these little curly Q's and S shapes, let's see if you'll see them. See, you can see them close up, you can see them. So we make them all over. Let's see if we turn this, come right from behind the flower. So it won't be in front of the flower, it'll be behind the flowers. It can be in front of the greenery, but not the flowers. It helps sometimes to twirl the brush around in the paint and take it right to the tip. It doesn't loop very far, I'm going to tell you that. And if you have to go back over a loop or two, you can. I kind of like that. And it just fills it up and fills it up. It looks like it looks empty when you first do it, but when you keep adding and adding, it really brings a whole lot of life to it. I'm loving everything except the orange and blue on this butterfly. It is kind of standing out a little more than I want it to. That orange just stands out like a sore thumb because, of course, there's no orange in here. That's what that is. I just changed the color. I can do that. See if I can get some of this blue and make a line or two. And that brings it in much better than what it was. That orange was not making it. Much, much better. I'm trying to tone it down because that blue is excuse me, that blue is standing out somewhat. And I'm just toning it down with a little of the color that I had already mixed. So that it doesn't stand out so much by itself. Strange looking butterfly, and I don't mind. I like that. This is still wet. We want that to dry. Once the chalkboard part of this dries, mine is still quite wet. Once it dries, you're going to lay the piece of chalk sideways and chalk up the entire area of black. All right, so what we need to do right now is season the chalkboard area. And to do this, we're going to use the side of the chalk. We're going to, let's put this here because this camera does what it wants to do. We're going to use the side of the chalk to cover the chalkboard side. That's this black side. Now you must make sure you wait until the paint completely dries. So I would let that sit for 24 hours and then put chalk on this black part. You don't need the chalk in here in these areas where you're not going to write. If you think you're going to write in between these little teeny areas, then you can. But I know I'm not writing in between these areas, so I need to concentrate on this part here. Once you get a decent amount of chalk on there, just take your finger and rub it in. Once you rub it in good, take a paper towel, a dry paper towel, and wipe it off. And now it's ready to write on it. I double use this thing, that's why it looks like that. So now I'll show you. Perfect. Fantastic. There's no right or wrong way to do the painting. We just want to make sure we season the chalkboard after it, and then you can just wipe that off. And if it gets a little too dusty looking, you do it just like you did when you were a child and you went to school. You just have a damp cloth and wipe it off, and you'll get most of this chalk residue off. Okay, thanks for joining me. until we meet again.